This is a Muscle Cat Media production.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Baseball Expats for another week of Major League Baseball talk. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now, as of today, I think, all of our previous episodes are all up and live on YouTube, so just another way that you can check us out. An easier way to share it with your friends if you're enjoying the podcast. And don't forget the U18 World Cup preview that Eric and I are doing with various people around the world heading toward that WBSC U18 World Cup. Starts in a couple weeks' time. The preview will drop on Friday and Monday, so get ready for those. Well, that's enough formalities, I think. And look, if it sounds like the world's biggest cat has walked through my apartment in Harvey Bay, it's because I'm fighting a bit of allergies. It's that time of year. It's a week or so till spring, and allergy season is amongst us. But boys, Eric Spoon, it's good to see you.
You got to get that cleaned up, my friend. You've got some games to call at the Under-18 World Cup. You need to get a dog and get rid of that cat and figure out your life.
Yeah, I don't know what the dander situation looks like in Okinawa, Japan, but I hope that it's the slightly better outlook than what I'm dealing with currently.
It's a blue zone, one of 5 blue zones in Okinawa, Japan. So, I mean, if you don't know what a blue zone is, that's where like a high concentration of people that live to over 100. So I think it's okay.
So you think that a prerequisite for living to be 80, 90, 100 years old is to never fight allergies? It seems like a bold take.
I'm sure that's got to be part of it. Lack of allergies, who knows?
Zyrtec taking you to an early grave.
Eric's bold take is that if you don't have allergies, you live to be 100. Spoon's bold take, if you missed the weekend pickoff on Friday, is that all playoff games should be played at Coors Field. So tune in to Baseball Expats for some of the wildest and wacky takes that you'll get. Speaking of wild and wacky, I know it's completely off script, but you boys had your AGM and fantasy football draft last night. And just from the photos that I saw alone, it looked like... Look, I'm not going to say that not everything was above board, but it looked like there were certainly some shenanigans that happened as part of that fantasy football draft last night.
Yeah, I'm a little slow in the brain department today as a result of that. My friend Alex, who's a second season in the league, flew in yesterday morning from Melbourne, so picked him up at 6 from the airport. We started drinking beers at 10 o'clock, playing MLB The Show. Got to the pub for draft at 5:30, I think, Eric. Eric had the great idea that we do a tequila shot before we draft. And then, we were last to leave the pub at, 10 o'clock or whenever that was. And back to the airport this morning at 6 a.m. So it's been a ride.
Now, look, I'm a data guy, right? So I entered my team after this fantasy draft in Yahoo, and I got given a D for my draft, a D, which is a good thing from Yahoo. You never want the curse of having the best draft. But Yahoo didn't consider the most amount of inside information data that I have when it comes to the sports world in general. And that is the sports world hates Spoon. It hates him. Like, Spoon can't catch a break. You've heard his stories of going over and watching his teams lose every road trip, flying over to Arizona for the World Series and basketball and hockey and seeing the 0-6 teams leaving, AFL teams losing in prelim finals, all of this stuff. He's even had fantasy players in the past. I've been in this league with him for a bit now. He drafts one year, doesn't get him the next year, and it's the next year they go off. He's always a year off.
Yep.
So knowing this information, I chose a team with the only strategy of what would spite Spoon the most. So I picked some Arizona Cardinals, knowing that, if Spoon picks Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., they are going to have terrible seasons. But if I pick them, I get to play Spoon on 2 different occasions. I get to beat his fantasy team, and I get to use players that are on his team to add to some pain. On top of that, I got to pick players that he had as busts last year, that he said he would never touch again, that had burned him in the past, in past performances. I just chose guys based on a storyline narrative that would bring Spoon pain. I'm playing him week 1. I even let him any defense he wanted. He could have chose any kicker on the board. And I let Spoon pick his kicker that will go up against him, knowing that kicker is going to give the best performance of his life. So the anti-spoon strategy is alive and well. I'm glad I get to cheer on the Arizona Cardinals this year because I'm heavily invested in them all of a sudden, and we can bond over that when we're not playing each other. But the anti-spoon strategy was a real thing that I did yesterday.
It's going to be a long season.
There's been a bit of a St. Louis Cardinal pile up on this podcast in the last couple of weeks, and now I just feel like for absolutely no reason there's a spoon and Arizona Cardinal pile up.
You mean Angry Birds?
Look, you being a data guy, you feel like the data guy could sort out not having the AGM on a Sunday, and you could probably do that on a Friday or a Saturday, but I guess we'll just leave that where it is. I want to ask you boys a serious question because, as you both know, as if being a St. Louis Cardinals fan this year wasn't enough heartbreak for one man to deal with, the team that I follow in the National Rugby League here in Australia, the West Tigers, have been cellar dwellers for a long time, and they played at their spiritual home last night. That is Leichhardt Oval, the eighth wonder of the world. They were up 12 with 10 minutes to go and lost. And it's a feeling that I've become very familiar with by being a West Tigers fan. But I was thinking about this last night as I was doing a drive along the coast here on Harvey Bay, trying to clear my head, that every time a sports heartbreak happens, I remember the first time my heart was broken by a sporting team. And I was just wondering, is that just me? Am I on the spectrum? Or is that something that pops into other sports fans' heads? So I guess I'll open it to the floor to either of you. Do you remember the first time that you had a major sports heartbreak? And does that resurface every time that it happens, be it in another sport decades down the line? Or is it just me?
I remember when the Italian cheat went down in the box in the 2006 World Cup on a legitimate attempt to tackle from Lucas Neal. Scored a penalty, ended up knocking Australia out in the round of 16, went on to win the whole World Cup. I reckon I was 10 years old, and that's when I realized that it's going to be a tough run, this whole sporting thing. There's no such thing as fairy tales. What's that? 20 years later, that's still held up true.
I would love to hear what your first heartbreak is, because this year's heartbreaks don't even feel like heartbreak, dude. Like, the St. Louis Cardinals never had a pulse. To break your heart, you need to have something beating, and the Cardinals have been mediocre the whole year. The West Tigers have like a minus 100 point differential and are like not in the playoff mix anymore. But you told a story a while ago about the Cardinals having that's a heartbreak when you're losing in the World Series to the to the Boston Red Sox. That's a heartbreak, right? Like,
yeah,
that's a great
2013
heartbreak story. I don't have too much sympathy for losing in the 11th. 13 seconds, that's heartbreak. That's the Buffalo Bills right there. Not my first heartbreak, but that's heartbreak. That's what I think of when I think of heartbreak. Like the Toronto Maple Leafs this year when they lost in 7 after being up in that game and cut, like, that's a heartbreak. Preliminary finals spoon, your Port Adelaide losing their last 4. Those are heartbreaks. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm discrediting your 2025 heartbreak. But I know that deep down you have plenty of painful memories. But my first one has to go back to the 1998 Memorial Cup final. The Guelph Storm were my first ever love, my first ever sports team that I obsessed over. And I was just a kid. The Guelph Storm won the championship. They won the OHL crown. Great season. And basically how it works in hockey is the best Ontario League, Quebec League, and West Coast League, the champions all play each other. And the Storm had a heroic performance from their goaltender, Chris Madden. They've never won the Memorial Cup before. They got there. It was a bit of a Cinderella run, and they lost in overtime to the Portland Winterhawks. Marian Hossa, future unbelievable player. He won a couple Stanley Cups. He was on that team. And I'll never forget being like a 7-year-old kid and just having the heart sink out of my chest as the Portland Winterhawks won a face-off to the right of Chris Madden, and a shot got deflected in from the point, and this unbelievable journey just came to an end, and they didn't win the national championship. That is my first sports heartbreak. What's yours?
Did you feel that resurfaces anytime you have it? Like, so when the Maple Leafs, for instance, when you had to retreat to a cabin for 2 nights because you needed to be far, far away, do you feel like that feeling resurface? Do you remember that moment? Do you remember being a kid and go, this feels like that? Because that was back then I didn't have anything to compare it to, but now I have something to compare it to. I guess that's my question.
Sometimes. I would say generally no. But you see, with the Buffalo Bills and the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't relate back to that feeling because those teams are notorious for inventing new, twisted, cruel, unusual ways to break their franchise's heart. I mean, making 4 straight Super Bowls and losing all 4 of them, that's an incomparable heartbreak. Like, you can't even relate anything to that because it's literally never happened anything else. The Toronto Maple Leafs, you can go back and listen to that episode from May when they got eliminated if you want to have that explained to you again. So the answer is yes and no, right? Like, I thought about that when the Jays got swept to the Twins. Like, they were never really in the fight, but like, you kind of think back to your first sports heartbreak. So it's an absolutely amazing question because the answer is yes. But with those 2 teams, the Bills and the Leafs, they just twist the knife in different ways every time. So no.
Yeah, well, I mean, mine was like when I was growing up, the Cardinals were good, but they were never good enough to get to a World Series. And I just thought that it was never going to happen. And in 2002, they gave us a lot of reason to think, well, that team was going to be a World Series team. I mean, they beat the Diamondbacks 3-0 in the NL Division Series.
And Giants,
then just got
I remember,
absolutely obliterated by the Giants. And I remember
that is heartbreaking.
Just after every game, I remember being in what is still my mom and dad's house, like crying in the shower, knowing that I had to go to school the next day. And like, if it was an off day, having to wait 48 hours again before you could put your heart back in your chest. And I mean, I would have been in 2002, I would have been 13 years old. So I'm sure there were moments before that when I was heartbroken about things, but it's funny. Like, I can walk into that bathroom at my mom and dad's house and it comes rushing back to me, like the 2002 National League Championship Series. And it's like, I was just thinking about it last night as the Tigers gave up try after try after try to again break my heart and completely dash what slim finals hopes they had. While I had that, 10 minutes where, because it burns really hard. It burns really hot. It burns really fast. I sat there and I was like, this comes up every time. I just think about being in that shower in mom and dad's house, and just sitting under the faucet and just kind of thinking that this is how it ends. This is the worst that it's ever going to get for me. As you grow up and become an adult and have responsibilities, you learn
I can feel your heartbreak there because I wasn't a Cardinals fan, but I remember that team for 2 reasons. One, Jim Edmonds had this magical year. He was so good that year they lost to the Giants in the NLCS. I'll have to look up what his WAR stats were. It'd be well over 5 on the season. And then I also remember it because the most random ass pitcher was so good for the Cardinals that year. I think, was that the year of Woody Williams, where Woody Williams out of nowhere was just like, I am great. And he had an unbelievable season, or was that another year?
He threw a no-hitter and I think missed a perfect game because he hit a guy that season.
I remember this. Was that year? Let me look this up. Yeah. What year was it?
Yeah, 2002? I'm certain it was 2002.
What year? 2002. Let's take a look here.
I'm certain it was 2002.
Yeah, 2.53 ERA.
Yeah, and I mean, Jim Edmonds had a WAR of near 7 that year.
Oh my goodness, they were a magical team. I remember they were great. They were a great team, and that was right in that Barry Bonds era. And Mark McGwire wasn't on that team, right? But it was the transition into the Albert era proper, right? That was when you kind of knew.
It would have been Albert's second or third full season. He was second in the MVP voting that year. I mean, Jim Edmonds was in the top 20 of MVP voting. Edgar Renteria was in the top 20 of MVP voting. So the team themselves were just the whole thing was stacked.
Oh my goodness. Dude, I'm
Jason
looking at
Tachi was like a top rookie in the starting rotation. So it was just okay, this is, and again, when you're 13 years old, you don't really understand, what it's like to be a Cleveland Browns fan or a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. You go, I've been waiting for this to happen for 2s of years. And then when it doesn't happen, the year that you think it's going to happen is when you get that really first deep heartbreak.
Quick note on that year and how good Albert was. So Albert played for his first 10 seasons in St. Louis. He objectively, just looking across this, had his worst season as a Cardinal in 2002. Here were his numbers. In 157 games, so he played all but 5, he had a 314 average, an OPS of 955 with 34 home runs and 127 RBIs. He finished second in MVP voting, and it was the only year he was not an all-star. And that was, objectively, he had 40 doubles that year. Literally, based on WAR, OPS, average, this was Albert's worst year. That's insane. That is insane how good he was with the Cardinals.
Well, it's good that I can, every time something happens in the negative in terms of my sporting fandom, that I can remember 2002. Anyways, just in terms of some things that have happened in Major League Baseball over the weekend, Paul Skeens continuing to do Paul Skeens thing. Now has the second lowest ERA through 50 starts in the live ball era. I think we talked, quite a bit about him in the last couple of weeks. The big dumper getting number 48 and 49, passing Salvi Perez for the most home runs ever by a major league catcher. But the thing that I loved the most on the weekend, and I don't know if either of you two saw this, was the San Diego Padres fan that was heckling Shohei Ohtani. And then Ohtani goes deep. And the first thing he did after hitting that home run was not go to his teammates for a high five, but he went over to the fan who was heckling him and gave him a high five, which I thought was the most incredible thing of all time. And look, I know that there's just so much Shohei Ohtani glazing that happens constantly, but often it's because he's just like this mythical character who's a great baseball player, and a lot of times we don't necessarily get to see his personality, but it's like he did it in the most nicest, respectful, Oriental Japanese way possible, where he went over and just kind of gave the guy a high five. But it was fun because he's like, cool, I'll just go hit a 450-foot tank and shut you up, but also do it in the most respectful way possible. So that was something I enjoyed.
He's probably one of the only guys that gets away with that, right? If Kyle Schwarber hits 450 and then you've been heckling him and he's walking towards you, you're retreating in a hurry.
Yeah. Correct.
Climbing over seats to get up the aisle.
Dodgers and Padres, though, tied again. That's obviously noteworthy. In a bit of a battle there. That's the best division race. And then the Cubs not dead yet, right? They were 9 games back at the start of last week, and now they're only 5 games back. So they could make a September charge. That's obviously interesting. And the Red Sox jumping on top of the Yankees sort of grabs you too, as well as the Kansas City Royals, man. They're still not out. They're still not dead in the water. They've gained 4 games in their last 10 on those Mariners. So here they come. And Bobby Witt Jr. almost carried me to a miraculous Destiny draft win, but Mike Trout, disappointing Mike Trout.
I was going to give you your flowers for the Royals call because you were on that quite early. They were below 500 when you started talking about them making a run. It's happening. And it's sort of a bit of it as well is the Mariners and the Astros can't seem to break away right now either. They're both just playing middling baseball. And that's keeping that third wildcard spot wide open for a team like the Royals to kind of just fly under the radar and complete your prophecy.
Yeah, I mean, and Bobby Witt Jr. is playing some great baseball in that stretch too. So yeah, the Royals, they're starting to score some runs. Unfortunately, they're allowing a couple more runs than what they had to earlier, but they're 3 games back of the Mariners and 3.5 back of the Yankees, 4 back of the Red Sox. All it takes is another hot week, and they're sitting right that spot. And I might be tipping them again in the picks later on today.
Well, Eric, you did a good job of teasing that. Bobby Witt Jr. had an incredible week, and of course, he was the anchor on your Destiny draft team from last week. We got the listeners caught up while you were off and away on your quick trip over the weekend when Spoon and I did weekend pickoff on Friday, but Spoon, lay it on us. Give us the final results of Destiny Draft number 3.
Okay.
I have a feeling, based on the way that your pitchers went over the weekend, that it's going to be very favorable for you.
Yeah, in third place instead of last. Let's go.
You
with
can go
third
past
place.
that. You can go past that. You can skip this part.
Yourself with McGreevy at 5, Win at 2, and O'Hoppy at -4. You'll be pleased to know that your score of 3 isn't the worst score in Destiny draft history. I'm the proud owner of a 1 in week 2. So, yeah, look, as Eric said before, no matter how bad things are going, there's always a chance I'll find a way to do things worse when it comes to the sporting world. In second place was Eric, Bobby Witt Jr., a fantastic week, 22 points. He had 12 hits, 8 runs, 5 ribbies, and just 3 Ks. Unfortunately, wasn't enough, though, given, Trout had a shocker, 5 hits, 1 run, 0 RBIs, and 10 strikeouts for a -4. And Brian Wu's start was solid, but unfortunately there was only one of them, and that was kind of the difference against the 2 guys I had. So Wu got 9 points. And then, I top scored with 44, so 8 from Jeremy Pena, who had a pretty decent week. 17 from Brady Singer, who had 2 really good starts, total of 12 innings, 13 strikeouts, and just 2 earned runs. And Skeens was just marginally better, 13 innings, 15 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. So, I think I was going back and looking at it, like, elite pitching, if you get 2 starts, is really, really hard to beat. But if you don't get 2 good starts, it also is quite sort of higher risk, and that's why I'm the owner of a 1 and a couple of other dud scores throughout the time we've done this. But, it came down to the wire. It was a lot of fun. How did you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, I was still happy with my team. I mean, if Mike Trout just has a 10-point week, that's a 14-point swing, and then all of a sudden I'm knocking on the door and it takes another earned runs from Skeens, and I'm right in the conversation. I know Trout's not having the best of seasons, but -4 in a week and those kind of numbers you rattled off are just not good. So that was disappointing that Mike Trout, of all the guys, was the dude that really let me down. Like he struck out like 5 times in his last 5 at-bats over the weekend too. So it was tough. It was tough to watch.
Yeah, well, I was pretty... No, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what I didn't mention just quickly is the overall leaderboard now has Eric with 8 points, 85 points scored, and Rolsey and myself both have 5 points, but I'm ahead on points 4 as the tiebreaker. So it's all there to play for as we go into the last sort of 6 weeks of the season.
We'll have to do one next week and pay close attention to it. You're going to give us a theme team shortly too, Spoon. So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, Rolsey, do you want to finish your thoughts on DD?
Yeah, we just, because you and I talked about it on Friday and Eric wasn't really here, but we just talked about how when you look back at, and you could do this with each of the Destiny drafts that we've done, when you look back at the draft process, it all seems kind of obvious, but when you're in it, and I mean, you guys did a fantasy football draft last night, and it's probably a little bit different because you can obviously plan for that a little bit better than you can plan for a Destiny draft when you're getting in your head, okay, maybe this guy's on my short list and that guy's on my short list as Spoon's pulling the cards. And I think I was definitely a victim of just getting really flustered. And I also went back and looked at Mason Wynn's previous week, that if we had done Destiny draft the previous week and drawn his card, I think he would have been like a 14, 15 point guy. So it just shows you that if you catch a guy that's hot and they immediately cool off, it's a disaster for you, right? Whereas with Bobby Witt Jr., it was the exact opposite. He was hot and stayed hot. And even with you, Spoon, talking about, Singer was there, and you were like, I don't even know if he's going to get a start. And then he ended up getting 2, right? Because it was just so difficult, and you're so flustered going, well, I'll take my chances because you already liked who you had. So you go, look, he's probably going to get a start at some point this week. Little did you know he was going to get 2. So for me, it's what makes it so much fun is that we jump into it with 2 feet, having no idea what we're getting ourselves into. And you can either look like a genius or you can look like me at the end of the week.
Yeah, you suffer that 2 minutes of being flustered for about 7 days.
Yeah, you sure do.
So I think what we'll do, and we should have a chat about this, is next year going into 26, I think we'll put some formalities around this. And I think we want to get the listeners involved as well, whether that's a rotating 4th spot and, the listener friend of the show becomes sort of that rotating spot and they stay in the standings there. I don't know how we do it, but we've gotten some good feedback from it, and I know that we've had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully if we do one more before the end of the season, I can pull myself out of the basement. Well, speaking of Spoon spurring things on us in spur-of-the-moment type of activities, we're going to do another theme team. If you haven't joined us for one of these previously, these are things that do not reside in a Topps box on the desk of Spoon, but they are rattling around in his head. So Spoon is not told Eric and I, there's a lot of things rolling around in Spoon's head. This is one of the ones that he can say on air. Eric and I have no idea what he's going to say and what he's been cooking up. But essentially, Spoon will come up with a theme, and we will try and put the best team on the field that we can with that theme. So a couple of the ones that we've done previously was, the best switch hitting team, the best team whose surnames end with Z. And then I think the one that we did previously was the all-noun team, which we did a couple of weeks ago, where we missed a few obvious ones. Let's hope that doesn't happen this week. Spoon, over to you. What are we going for theme-wise this week?
Yeah, so look, again, I'll preface this with that I don't know if it's possible to build a team, but every time I've said that, we've built some really good teams and like very,
I think the
very
all-noun
strong
team we worked out was like a 110-win team, and you were like, I don't know if we'll be able to even put a team on the field.
So I've got a feeling this is going to be similar. I can think of a couple, but I've tried to do no thinking so I can sort of contribute in good faith as well. Again, if we can try and build them all with currently active players first and then only go to, former retired players if we need to. This is, as we've touched on all year, an integrity pod, even going way back to, Eric's early payout scandal at the start of the show.
Yeah.
And we really cemented ourselves as a league and a pod of integrity. Integrity is obviously based on trust. And one of the things you get told a lot in life is that you can't trust a bloke with two first names.
Oh, my God.
Thinking, how many baseball players have a first name as a surname, and can we build a great theme team around that concept?
Oh, my God. This is a great question. I'm going to have to...
There's two that play for the Atlanta Braves, and one of them is probably going to be our catcher, and that's going to be the food for thought to kick things off.
I mean, who are you thinking for your catcher?
Sean Murphy.
Sean Murphy? What about, I don't know. It's probably not a name.
Well, I think, it's probably, the timing's pretty bad for him, but I think Kyle Tucker is probably one that we can shortlist. Keep him in mind.
Yep.
I can
Chris
think of a couple
Taylor?
players, but
Is
not
Chris Taylor still
right
knocking
now.
around?
Chris Taylor might be a utility guy. Yeah. Is there anyone better than Sean Murphy at catcher for us?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Jonah Heim. I've never heard of anyone named Heim. Alejandro Kirk.
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a great call from you.
Awesome.
It has to be Captain Kirk, right?
Kirk catching maybe and Murphy DHing for now, but we'll circle back to DH. First base, I've got
Christian Walker.
Yeah, well, there's a Walker Buehler in the league, so
so you can't say that it's
Christian Walker. The other guy I was thinking of is the third baseman for the Braves, Austin Riley. I feel like he's going to be sitting in this team, and one that's close to my heart as a D-backs guy is Alec Thomas in the outfield. But we'll go around the horn. I know that there's enough bits and pieces that we should be able to build this team, but I was missing a couple, like you just said, with Kirk and with Walker as well. All those real American names like Tucker and Walker and that kind of thing that I haven't met a lot of, but they are existing in professional American sports.
Yeah. At first base, the first one I thought of was Christian Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone for you, Rolsey? Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper could work, actually. You're right. Didn't we use did we use him in the all-noun team as well?
Yeah.
Someone
he's a man who harps.
Bryce Harper finds his way on all of these
Harper's
teams somehow, some way.
Is Harper? Do you know a Harper in real life?
Yeah.
You've met someone called Harper?
I do.
Pretty sure there
Harper
is
even a main.
Isn't there a
Harper
famous
was even
author?
a main character on the recent what's it called? White Lotus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fairly sure there's a famous female author whose first name is Harper.
Harper Lee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got to be Bryce Harper, doesn't it?
If you can't trust a bloke with two first names, can one of their names be a female name?
Yeah, I mean, I only know women.
I'm
with
staying
the
well
first
out of
name
this
Harper.
discussion.
Do we stick with male names, and then we need to be able to
Simon.
find...
He's the son of Paul Simon.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, I should have thought of that. Yeah, okay. Well, what about second base then? I feel like there's like a few floating around in the NL East, and I can't put my finger on it. No, they pretty much have to be like American players, right? Like it's just not going to happen if they're like Latin American players or whatever.
Justin Turner?
Adam Frazier?
Yeah. Where does Nathan Lucas play?
All over the place, but mainly in the outfield.
Okay.
But he spells his name Lukes.
Yeah, it's true.
Doesn't
It's probably
really
not
matter,
a like
though.
for like match, is it?
Justin Turner is who I would have probably thought of first. I guess I got Blue Jays on my mind.
For where second base?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much
he
he
ever
played at
played- has he
second
ever
base
played
this
a-
year, but he's
an inning
obviously
at second
played
base?
quite a bit in the past.
I don't know if he's ever played at second base.
Justin Turner?
Getting-
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
We've got Nick Allen in Atlanta.
Gun
and he's
defensive
having
shortstop.
he is having
Michael
a
Harris.
shocking
Michael
season.
Harris is going to be out there. Michael Harris is Gold Glove center field.
Yeah, he would be there for sure.
I think outfield's really easy. Like we've got a lot
Kyle
of options.
Tucker,
there.
Taylor Ward.
Do you know someone called Ward?
No, probably not.
They're just naming guys.
Past the Integrity Commission.
Yeah, you're right.
Alec Thomas will be there if we can't find a third better than him. But I'm stuck on Austin Riley's definitely third base. I'm stuck on middle infield. Maybe it is Nick Allen at shortstop and Justin Turner at second base. But
There's
that's
got to
really
be
gonna
somebody. There's got to be somebody that beats Nick Allen out at shortstop. Surely there has to be, right?
What
about Pete Alonso at first?
41-year-old Justin Turner. Like we've got to be doing better than that, or this team is going to be the worst team.
Wait. Pete Alonso, where does he fit in?
Polar bear.
Yeah, well, he's our first baseman.
Where does
Bryce Harper plays
fit in?
shortstop.
Bryce Harper's our DH then, and Sean Murphy misses out, I guess. Or we move Bryce back to the outfield.
Pete Alonso has to be on this team.
Have to, and you
I
can't
think
play him
so.
anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, I think Alonso or Harper's DH or one's first base. So it's, I mean, they're kind of interchangeable,
Yeah.
right? I don't think we can.
Yeah,
I don't think
and
we
we
can.
drop.
If you prefaced all of this by saying it's an integrity pod, I don't think we can put Harper in the outfield.
Well, he played there for a long time.
Yeah, but he's not playing there today.
True. Well, Justin Turner's not playing anywhere. He's 41. He's running oranges at halftime. Okay, so we've got catcher at Kirk, DH Harper, first base Alonso, third base Austin Riley. Outfield at the moment is Tucker, Thomas, and Harris.
What
But
about
our
shortstop?
Our middle infield, well, Nick Allen and Justin Turner are our middle infield, but we got to upgrade those. There's got to be better options.
Can we play Adam Frazier as shortstop? I think he's played the majority of his career.
Like sideways move, isn't it?
I would say probably career-wise. Well, I think career-wise, you'd say Turner over Frazier. I think you would say Frazier over Allen for sure.
Right, Jacob Wilson from the A's.
Jacob Wilson is probably your shortstop.
Is he having a better? He's a 23-year-old having a 2-ish WAR season, and he was an All-Star. It's probably got Nick Allen covered, right?
I think it has all of those guys covered for this season.
Yeah. I want to upgrade second base.
You should do a man with you. Next team should be team players with 2 last names, like O'Neal Cruz.
Who else can play second base? This can't be the hardest position. Is there someone from Baltimore I'm missing?
Who have you got there slotted in at the moment?
We've got 40-year-old Justin Turner, but like he'd be, yeah.
That's
I'm not excited about that. There's got to be better options out there.
What about Gunnar Henderson?
Do you know a Henderson first name?
Yeah, wasn't there a Henderson that played in the ABL this year?
Right, Christian Campbell's having a terrible season.
Henderson's definitely
But Brandon Lowe. You know anybody with the first name Lowe? Or is he Lau? There's a Lowe and a Lau on that team.
There's a Lowe's and Laos all over the place.
Yeah, it confuses me. I don't think there's
can we get
anybody with
Roman
the first
Anthony in
name
there
Lowe.
somehow? I guess we can't, but he's had 2.5 WAR. He's only been called up for like 2 months. Roman Anthony's probably in over Alec Thomas, right? I got to cop that as the D-backs fan, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, he could play the outfield for sure.
Yeah, so he takes Alec Thomas's spot. This team is coming along really nicely and looking really stacked, but I just
What
can't...
about Luis Robert?
Over Tucker, Roman Anthony, or Money Mike?
Probably not.
I just don't want to. I don't want to walk away and leave 40-year-old Justin Turner, former Dodger, former D-back killer, in my theme team for the week, or it's going to ruin my week more than a Destiny draft ever could.
What about Trey Turner?
Yeah, do you know a Turner?
Same as Justin. Yeah, I do know a few Turners actually.
Yeah, I figured it'd be more likely the Northern Hemisphere demographic of this podcast would know a Turner.
Turner, yeah, because in Australia you'd be calling him Tanner. Yeah, Turner is not like a common first name, but there's definitely people out there with the name first name.
Okay.
Turner. There's a Wikipedia page called Turner first name, and it lists off a bunch of people with the name Turner.
You know
It's
anyone
hard
called Horner?
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that logic.
Can we get Nico Horner in somehow?
Anyone named Horner? What about Josh Jung?
Yeah, I mean, there might be like lots of Jungs in like South Korea.
Yeah,
Carson
I think we
Kelly.
filled out our 9, right?
Yeah. Who's pitching?
Wait, who's our outfield again?
At the moment, I think it's got to be Roman Anthony, Michael Harris, and Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then the DH is Bryce Harper.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty good team. I don't love the middle infield still, but I don't know what you can do about it.
I don't know what we're going to do for our
Does anyone know anyone called Torres? I'm trying to see if I can shoehorn Gleyber Torres in. No, that might be us.
Well, our pitcher is maybe Joe Ryan.
Joe Ryan's a great shout. Yeah. Joe Ryan's...
Robbie Ray?
Robbie Ray. Okay, rotation's coming along.
Logan Allen, potentially.
Logan Allen.
Yep, 2 more guys to fill out a rotation.
Could we get in... I mean, this is a bit of a stretch. Boy, how old is he? David Robertson? Kind of 2 first names.
Merrill Kelly?
Yeah. Dylan Lee's coming out of the bullpen. And what's the Padres guy? Jason Adam. He's coming out of the bullpen. Real generic names, these.
Merrill Kelly's got to get on this team.
Okay, so that's 4 starters. We need 1 more.
Yeah. I don't know. Colin Ray.
We can't count Trevor Rogers, right? Because you don't call someone Rogers as their first name.
Jake Irvin? He's not that good.
This is a little harder than I thought, but it's also not
What about
terrible.
Patrick Corbin?
Yeah, that's a pretty good shout because there's 5
other
other pitchers called Corbin.
It's Taylor Clark in Kansas City, but he hasn't.
I'm making the call on who we're rounding out our rotation with because it has to relate with one of my picks that's coming up here. And I said him on the pod a couple weeks ago, who's putting together sneaky good year, one of the best in the MLB. My guy on the Kansas City Royals, Noah Cameron.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's got a 2.53 ERA this year. I know that because he's going to be one of my picks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our rotation then.
Who is it?
Managing?
Who's a rotation
Noah
again?
Cameron.
Cameron, Joe Ryan was 1. Robbie Ray was 2. Cameron's probably our 3.
Who's our closer?
No, what about a guy like Trevor Rogers? He's having a good season.
I've never met anyone named Rogers, though.
Rogers Hornsby? Come on, bro. This is a baseball podcast.
Who were we did have 2 more just then. I feel like they've gone.
What about Aaron Judge?
Judge Reinhold?
Yeah, exactly.
Judge Judy.
It's Judge Reinhold. No, that was a nickname, though. His name wasn't actually Judge.
Who were the last 2 we had? We had Ray, Ryan, Cameron.
Logan Allen. I have Joe Ryan, Robbie Ray, Logan Allen, Merrill Kelly, and Noah Cameron.
Merrill Kelly, yeah. And then...
I feel like Trevor Rogers has got to come in for one of those guys, right? He's having a ridiculous season. 4.6 WAR, 140 earned run average in 13 starts this year for Baltimore.
I think
no one cares about Baltimore.
The S on the end of his name.
Rogers Hornsby. There's literally a baseball Hall of Fame.
There's enough Rogers. I'm looking it up. You got Rogers Hornsby, you got Rogers Leahu, Rogers Mason, Rogers Morrison, Rogers Olipa. I'm looking at a Wikipedia.
Then he definitely takes Logan Allen's spot.
Yeah, I would think so.
Let's go with Rogers.
And our bullpen guy was Jason Adam from the Padres or Dylan Lee from the Braves.
Yeah.
Would there be anyone with the first name Wu?
What about Kyle Finnegan?
Do you know a Finnegan?
I know a few Finnegans, yeah.
You know multiple Finnegans?
Yeah. One guy in our
Do I not get out enough?
One guy in our fantasy football league, you know him too. He's got a nephew named Finnegan.
Okay, fair enough. Then, yeah, Finnegan's in our bullpen.
Tanner Scott?
Yeah, Tanner Scott.
Mason Miller?
Mason Miller's a great shout.
I don't know anyone named Miller, actually, but there must be someone.
There's no first name Miller. Yeah, maybe not. To ever play in the MLB. It does sound like it would be more common than Finnegan, doesn't it?
It does. Finnegan.
Yeah. And who's managing?
Dusty Baker.
How many Bakers do you know? Don't tell me another story about
my nephew's first name is actually Baker.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Called Baker.
I'm dead serious.
There you go. Dusty Baker's going to be the manager of every game we've got.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. Dusty Baker could be the guy.
Dusty Baker's going to have a lot of not a lot of spare time managing 5 theme teams.
He's got a lot of responsibility. Kevin Cash.
How many dudes do you know called Cash?
I feel like I went to high school with a kid called Cash.
You guys know a guy called Cash?
Yeah, he plays. He
was on Little League teams and Simons.
About either Dusty Baker or I think you got to go Dave Roberts.
Aaron Boone. You got T Boone Pickens.
Yeah, Aaron Boone.
I think T Boone Pickens.
What about Dave Martinez?
We call him Martinez a first name.
I'm going to assume that, like, if we had more, like, Latin American representation on this pod, they'd have stories about their nephews called Martinez, and we could apply the same Finnegan kind of approach we've just applied.
I think if we had more Latin American representation on this podcast, it'd be a very different podcast.
Yeah. Bud Black? How many people do you know called Black?
I don't know. None. None.
Rob Thompson. Do you know a Thompson? First name, maybe?
I actually don't know if I know a Thompson. Just a last name of Thompson.
I guess
Look,
it's
I would
Dusty
think,
then, is it?
yeah, well, I would think in the interest of trying to not double up. I mean, Dusty's got his hands full with that 110-win all-noun team.
Oh, Pat Murphy. Pat Murphy
could work.
Pat Murphy works.
He's a manager of the best team in baseball.
Yeah, let's go Pat Murphy then.
Love it.
Look, it's not the best team, but it's a completed team.
All right, but I like this, and Rolsey can make a graphic and chuck it on the gram, I'm sure. We got Alejandro Kirk, Pete Alonso, Trey Turner, Jacob Wilson, Austin Riley, Kyle Tucker, Roman Anthony, Michael Harris, and Bryce Harper is our DH. Mm-hmm. Our pitching rotation is Joe Ryan, Robbie Ray, Trevor Rogers, Merrill Kelly, Noah Cameron, and Pat Murphy is managing the team. Who did we say was our closer?
I think Jason Adam from the Padres. Think he's having a good year.
Kyle Finnegan, baby. Yeah, probably.
Jason Adam has a 1.57 ERA.
Jason Adam works.
Well, that's a fun team. Look, I was pleasantly surprised as to how good that all-noun team was. I knew they would be good. I didn't think they would be a 110-win team. So we'll do the math. We'll chuck up a graphic, and you can let us know on social media what you think about our all-first name team. A group of guys basically that can't be trusted, essentially, is
the untrustworthy team
told us. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. We will step aside for just a moment. On the other side, the boys will give us their best tips and maybe a NRFI or a YRFI, I think, potentially Eric's even thinking, for the early slate this week. Stick with us. Back on the Expats, time to make a little bit of dosh on the early week slate. The boys went 2 for 4 with their picks over the weekend. There was a lot of runs in that Twins-White Sox game, and Brian Bayos, the boys have been talking about all year, delivered as well. But you're only as good as your last. And Eric, seeing as you weren't with us in person, you were with us from the Beyond for the weekend pickoff. We'll let you start us off. What are you liking during the week?
Well, I'm going to look at a start tomorrow, and I'm actually going back to the well with 2 picks then, and these bets have served me well and served the pod well, so I'm just going to keep rolling with a good thing. Now, one of them has to do with our guy, Spencer Strider, who is struggling, dude. Like, how many times, Spoon, have you and I jumped on a market that it just sees, the betting agency sees that Spencer Strider's starting, and the odds are just wrong, right?
Too much respect.
The Marlins to win over the Braves, they're paying $2.05. So just over double your money for an on-the-nose, any way you like it win for the Marlins. Now, Spencer Strider has been struggling this year. He's got a 5.24 ERA. He allows almost 4 walks per 9 innings, and he's allowed 20 runs over his last 11 2/3. He is struggling right now. Meanwhile, I mean, like the Marlins, they're sending Edward Cabrera to the mound. He's got a 3.5 ERA, so you know he's probably going to give you a pretty respectable start. So, yeah, the Braves bullpen isn't any better, by the way. It's 23rd since June 1. So for those reasons, it's a starter that is being glazed over right now. Marlins on the nose to win at 205 is the play that I like to double my money.
Yeah, I like it. Strider is getting... Yeah, we've talked about this countless times all year, but the preseason pricing for some of these guys just sticks way too long, well into July and August, and that applies to teams too. Like the Braves aren't the team they were meant to be with all the injuries they've had, and Strider hasn't been the starter he's meant to be. And the opposite's also true. The Fish are kind of still fun. I took them on the weekend. I thought they'd be able to jump Bieber. They did not. Bieber was superb. But I'm still not losing faith. I think the Fish put up a big score today and maybe yesterday as well. And sort of
they came back and they forced extras versus the Jays, and then they won yesterday. So they were pretty scrappy versus a very good Toronto team.
Yeah, which makes you think they're going to be ready for a pitching staff that's notably lower in quality than sort of how Kevin Gossman and the Jays bullpen is going. So yeah, I like it. Plenty of positives there.
My second one I'm going to go with is going back to the well of a game that you two boys will not enjoy. It is the exact same bet that I am laying that I did 3 weeks ago, maybe.
No, don't do it.
The White Sox and the Royals are playing again tomorrow, and you
How can this
get
be
the
possible?
Royals.
How can they be playing each other again? Stop it.
The Royals. It's the same starter, too, which I love. So the Royals, you can get under 8.5 runs and a win at 330. Now, I am a noted Royals lover. They are playing well, and they're winning low. So Royals are starting Noah Cameron. I alluded to that earlier. So in 18 starts, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer. He's got a sneaky 2.53 ERA, and he doesn't allow a lot of home runs either. So the offense isn't that great for Kansas City, and the White Sox aren't much better. So they rank 27th and 28th, respectively, in the league in scoring. Shane Smith, he has a 4.12 ERA, but he's been pretty good. He's allowed 2 runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 starts for the White Sox. So it kind of feels like 2 offenses that aren't that great. Noah Cameron's been delivering for the Kansas City Royals, and the Royals need to win. I kind of like the Royals to win. Any score works. 5-3 works. 4-3 works. 3-2 works. There's a little more wriggle room there. So I tried an aggressive one on a 7.5 run line earlier, maybe last week, and it was just too low to go for a win and a low. I like the extra run. So Noah Cameron, we've cashed in on this exact bet not 2 weeks ago, and at 330 for a Royals win and under 8.5. I like it.
Yeah. Not a lot to add. I think you've kind of covered the key points. Noah Cameron, untrustworthy theme team, starting rotation guy. Excited to see how he goes as a first-time theme team participant. I'd be lying if I said I'll be tuning in closely, but I will be checking the box score as it unfolds.
Perfect.
Yeah. My 2. So the first one relates to today's choice of attire for those who can see. I like the Washington Nationals tomorrow against the Yankees to score some runs. And I know I'm known for my brilliant pronunciation, but I didn't practice this one, so we're going to attempt it on the fly. Cam Schlittler is making his 8th start of his rookie season for the Yankees. And his numbers tell a story of a guy who's dominating, but the underlying sort of peripherals don't support that. His 3.22 ERA is kind of probably quite generous when you look at a FIP that's over 4.5 and a WHIP that's over 1.3. He's faced a lot of struggling teams. Not to say that the Nationals aren't tomorrow, but the Nationals are scoring some runs. They've put up some big scores in divisional series recently against both the Mets and the Phillies, and it's still an offense that I like. So tomorrow, for over 3.5, Washington Nationals team total to $1.95. And I think given the power of some of the bats in that lineup, like James Wood, and this is a guy who's walking 4 hitters per 9 innings, it's only going to take 1 or 2 swings to put that right into the mix. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. We know that, especially for left-handed hitters like James Wood. And as the away team, I've spoken about this before, they're going to get their 9 innings and 4 runs in 9 innings for a team that's getting it done with the bat, just doesn't have anyone who can sort of reliably pitch after selling everyone at the deadline, is a fun way to sort of isolate that matchup, I think.
I like it. I was looking at the Nationals for that reason too. Bit of a lie in the Yankees starting pitcher, and they're paying close to 3s just to win if you're tempted in something else. So you could potentially package that together and over 3.5 runs and a win, and you're getting tasty value. But I like the lock at that almost double your money range.
Yeah. And then the second one is, not reinventing the wheel by any means, but I could not go past this one. It's the Rangers at home against the Angels. The Angels are the worst team in baseball for strikeout rate, and that means they're worse than the Colorado Rockies. And anytime you're worse than the Colorado Rockies at anything, it's alarm bells. And their strikeout rate is almost a full percentage higher than the Rockies. And this is a Rockies team that's striking out 1 in every 4 ABs. For comparison, the Angels are at 26.2%. That doesn't bode well when you're going up against Jacob deGrom. So I got burnt maybe 3 weeks ago by an early-ish hook for deGrom against the Jays. I don't think he's going to need to necessarily go 6 or 7 innings to rack up the strikeout total I'm looking at here tomorrow for against the Angels. So we're going to go with 8 strikeouts for DeGrom and the Rangers to win as a double at $2.40, because I think that's a bet that should be $1.50, $1.60, much like how the Rangers themselves are $1.57. I don't think we should be, doubling the price there by including DeGrom striking out the worst team at strikeout prevention in baseball.
I like it. And DeGrom, he had that rest. He skipped his last start because of the shoulder injury, so that's probably why he got the hook early. That's the only concern for me on that one, is that are they going to be kind of capping DeGrom's work rate? But the Rangers need to win this game, man. So I think they just let him go as long as they can to make sure they win that game. Like, playoff baseball pretty much starts now as we're in late August all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose this game to the Angels, you'd start thinking about shutting down DeGrom in the next couple of weeks anyway. So let's see what he can do. Pitch him into the 90s tomorrow, give him 6 innings. And I'm trusting that 6 innings of his stuff against the Angels will result in 8 strikeouts.
We'll go around the horn with some yes-run first innings or no-run first innings before we wrap this up, Rolsey. I know you and I, we got places to be, but I'm going to kick us off with a yes-run first inning. I'm just going to break the ice right away, and I'm looking at the Mariners and the Padres game. I'll probably lay something on the side on this game anyways. But yeah, I mean, Bryce Miller is starting and he's struggled. He's got a 5.87 ERA. JP Sears is close to a 5 ERA starting for the Padres. So you got 2 pitchers that are kind of struggling. It's a good playoff energy kind of game between 2 teams in different leagues. I think it'll be a high energy game. Bats will be hot to start. So I'm going yes run first inning, Mariners and Padres.
I'm having a look at the game that Spoon just mentioned in LA versus Texas. And DeGrom is the obvious, and you talk about the strikeout rate that the Angels have, but I just can't get that start that Jose Soriano had 2 starts back against the Dodgers out of my head. I know it was a bit of a funny series where the Dodgers went to Anaheim and got swept, and Soriano largely has had his worst month in the month of August, but that's really just come from 2 starts, and I'm hoping, I haven't looked at the price at all, Spoon, you might be able to help me, but I'm hoping that because Soriano's...
166 for no.
Yeah, see, I don't necessarily love that price. I look to try and find a little bit of... Yeah, look to try... And a lot of that probably has to do with DeGrom, right? So they assume there's going to be no runs coming from Anaheim. But look, I think I can live with it. I would like a price a little bit higher than that. I thought maybe it would be more inflated because of the way Soriano's been going in August. But again, like I said, he was so good against the Dodgers 2 starts back. I can't get that start out of my head. Had a little bit of a blip in Sacramento, but everybody has had a blip in Sacramento, right? So it's, if you can ignore that last start that he had and look back to that performance, that 6 strikeout performance in 6 innings where he allowed just 2 hits against the Dodgers, if he can recreate that in a game that's probably going to have a bit of feeling in Texas, like they've always talked about, Texas needing to win that game, I'll back Jose Soriano, my man. So we'll say no run first inning in the Angels-Texas game tomorrow.
We're up to 325 in value if we multi them together. Spoon, what are you going to do to inflate it?
I've got a game that I think you're going to be watching, and we just made one of these guys the ace of our theme team. I'm loving the lineup or the matchup for Joe Ryan against Scherzer for a no. Scherzer, look, much like Bieber, I guess, in his first start, probably another guy I was a little bit wrong about, just as far as wasn't sure if he was still going to have it and still make an impact, but whatever Pete Walker does to pitchers in that Toronto pitching lab needs to be studied and maybe stolen and smuggled away to Arizona somehow, because he's just been rock solid. And the Twins, they sold almost everyone. The obvious danger there is Byron Buxton, and after I expected or predicted he'd hit a home run on the weekend and he didn't, it'll be very funny when he hits one tomorrow and breaks up the NRFI. But it's a danger I'm willing to take on at $1.76. I think Scherzer and Ryan can both go 1, 2, 3 and really lock in early in what should be a pretty exciting pitching duel.
Package them together and you get on that treble just over 5s. So I don't mind that. Almost 6s actually, close to 6s. So
I think it's a pretty good price. And we just missed on the first time that we did this last week, of the 6 half innings, the run came in the bottom half of 1. That was the Marlins and Cardinals game. So you can say that we got 5 of the 6 half innings correct the last time we did this. So if you're willing to follow us in, best of luck in what you do tomorrow. Hope you enjoy the baseball. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget, you can check us out on YouTube. All episodes going forward will be on YouTube, and we'll be doing some more video stuff over there as well. On behalf of the boys, hope you have a great week. Enjoy the rest of it and enjoy your baseball. Till Friday. So long, everybody.